Greetings everyone. I hope you are having a good time here. Before I begin my talk, I want you to remember just 5 words from my talk, and that will lead you to unlock a new way of thinking. So, what are those 5 words? Those 5 words are mice can find intelligent solutions. No, it is not about some mice finding a cure to cancer, but it is a mnemonic, where the first letter of each word represents a mental model that I'll be sharing with you today. But hold on, before that, the word that I mentioned, mental models, what does it exactly mean? Now, I want all of you to imagine with me. We all have seen spice box in our kitchens. While cooking, we use certain set of spices like turmeric for dal, garam masala for biryani, and so on and so forth. In this scenario, cooking of the food refers to the decisions we take and the problems we solve. The set of spices refers to the mental models. But again, what are mental models exactly? Mental models are these certain cognitive frameworks which reshapes and redefines the way we think, and at the same time restructures the way we approach to a problem or any decision. The problem here is that most of us don't really know what mental models exactly are. And I'm pretty sure some of you sitting here may even be listening it for the first time in your life. And because of this, you may resonate with me that if not most of the times, half of the times, our decisions are either wrong or randomly taken. To put it simply, it is just like cooking a food without any spices. And we don't want to eat that tasteless food. So why with our decisions today? With this, I will start with my first mental model. But again, as I said in the beginning of my talk, you have to remember those 5 words. And now is the time I need to know the first word of the mnemonic. Anyone in the audience? Cool. Mice. So the first letter M, it stands for map is not the territory. I want all of you to imagine with me a smooth, shiny steel ball. From afar, it looks flawless, smooth, shiny, perfect. But then, as you zoom in, you find a lot of tiny irregularities and scratches on the surface. This, my friends, is the difference between the map and the territory. The smooth, shiny ball is the map, which is the simplified version of the reality and not the reality itself. And the irregularities or the microscopic view is the territory or the real, detailed and the messy world we live in. As a 11th grader, after choosing my stream, the another important decision that I'm going to make in my life is whether I want to study in this country or go abroad. If you were in my case, and if you would have taken the decision on basis of the map, it would look simply like this. Going abroad means better education, better opportunities, better living, and most importantly, earning in dollars or pounds, and thereafter some years, magically turning rich and successful. But my friends, what if I told you to zoom in and look at the territory? Then you would find, what about the taxes? What about the purchasing power parity? What about the cost of living, the healthcare, the immediate family, and so on and so forth down the line? So you see, my friends, if you would have taken the decision based on the lucrative map of success, you would later definitely regret when the reality or the territory would not have met your expectations. And this wraps the first mental model, the map is not the territory. And now as we know what is the territory, it is also important to know where do we actually lie on the territory. And this brings me to my second mental model. But again, I want to know the second word of the mnemonic. Cool, the audience is very energetic. I like this energy. So, the first word, C, it stands for Circle of Competence. I don't exactly remember my age, but when I first saw Mona Lisa, I thought, cool, I can paint it too, and thus enrolled myself in a painting competition. It was no later that I realized the painting that I drawn on the sheet of paper that day, that painting and articulation did not lie in my circle of competence. In my case, the gravitas of the decision was too small, or it didn't even matter. But what if you were in a situation where you had to make a really important decision, which would later have a significant impact in your upcoming life? We all have this one friend, you all can resonate with me, we all have that one friend in our friend group who Googles his symptoms and also about the disease, and at the same time prescribes himself medicines from the internet without consulting a doctor. And what's next? Every time they face repercussions. Because they think that surfing through some of the health blogs have make them as competitive and as experienced as a doctor who has already put his entire life into the medical field. Notably, every one of us have our own circle of competences. And for someone of us who don't have, we are building it. Because having a circle of competence is a must to sustain in this world. For an AI engineer, his or her circle of competence is artificial intelligence. But who will explain my sister, who thinks that after watching a one-shot video of AI, she knows everything about AI and now she's an AI expert? Now, this brings me to my third mental model, but I hope by now you have realized what is the importance of mental models and how effectively we can overturn the quality of the decisions that we make using these mental models. The third mental model, first principles thinking. So it was an article that I read on the newspaper as well as on the internet about a growing asymptomatic liver condition called as NAFLD. NAFLD stands for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is an asymptomatic liver condition caused by excessive accumulation of triglyceride in our liver. And it causes 1 million deaths each year around the globe. And this fact struck me to think, why? And thus, I dug deeper and deeper to know what is this disease, how it is caused, to whom it is caused, and more until I could not dig deeper. And at that point, I reached to a fact that currently most of the cases are detected in the later stages, when the condition of liver has already become irreversible, and it is, for any person, it is not possible to reverse the condition of their liver at that stage. So most of them leads to death. So you see, my friends, as first principles thinking has inspired me, it inspires you too as well. So next time whenever you face a problem, don't just come up with a random solution in your mind, but instead try to first understand the problem. Try to dig deep down through various principles until you reach the most fundamental principle that cannot be deduced further. And then challenge the traditional assumptions, and which will lead you to either come to a solution or, a better thing, create your own solution. This, my friends, wraps up the third mental model, first principles thinking. And before I come to the fourth mental model, I want to tell you that it is personally my favorite. So I want to know what was the fourth word. I love this spirit, thank you, intelligent. It stands for inversion. Looks pretty cool, right? I will give you a scenario or a question, and so you have to Let's say you have been assigned to organize a huge outdoor event. And just the day before the event, you see the weather forecast states conditions of or the chances of heavy rainfall on the day of the event. What would be your next step here? Okay, wait, hold on. I'll make it more trickier because you would think that you would possibly postpone the event or conduct it indoor. But okay, I'll cancel out those two choices as well. And now, you have time, think about it, what possible solution can you come up with? There are a lot of possibilities. Maybe you could cover up the speakers or provide people with raincoats. Okay, time's up. I'll now tell you the solution. What was the problem here? Rain? What if we invert this problem? Or I should better say, turn it upside down. Rain was the problem. You can distribute colorful umbrellas, set up water games, or rain challenges for the people to engage. Now, this is not the normal or the traditional solution you would have come up with. This is an out-of-the-box solution that could only possibly come from you when you have inverted the problem. Rain was the problem, you inverted it and made it the highlight of the event. And so you see, this may justify why this is one of my personally favorite mental models, and it is so simple to apply in whatever problems we face. And most of the time, if you were given a decision, and you would come most of the times with the most out-of-the-box solution if compared to the most of the population. And now, time for the fifth mental model, last but not the least. Second order thinking. So it is just as simple as it looks. Imagine you have a toothache, and just like me, you are afraid to go see a dentist. And then you decide, okay, I don't want to go to a dentist, that's it, full stop. But my friends, in this scenario, if you would have applied second order thinking, it would go something like this. If I don't go to a dentist today, I will gradually have increased toothache, maybe in coming of days, which will further lead or bring about a restriction in the way that I eat and the way with which I speak. And possibly then you remember that the next week I have to close a very important business deal. And so for that, ultimately, when the toothache will increase to such an extent that you will have to go to see a dentist, maybe later, a week later. So don't you think it will be a very foolish decision to not go and see a dentist today? A lot of times, we are struck with a lot of problems and the decisions which we just want to not handle it and we procrastinate on it. And it is not wrong because those problems and decisions seem too perplexed and too stressful to take and make. But application of second order thinking brings about taking very clear decisions, very logical, stress-free, and like clearing up all the stress, and you don't need an extra coffee. Now, this wraps all the 5 mental models that I wanted to share with you. But hold on, I'm not going to leave you like this. I have a dare for you. Yes, I can give you a dare, obviously. In the next 24 hours, you have to take up a problem or a decision that you have been procrastinating on. And then apply any of the 5 mental models that I shared with you today. And then, my friends, also remember, mice can find intelligent solutions. Trust me, you will be surprised with the quality of the decision that you will end up with. This, my friends, wraps up this session. With this said, this is Ishan Choudhary signing off.